Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for making the time out this afternoon. We really do appreciate it. Rihanna, thanks for giving us a bit of intro in terms of where Nedbank is. I guess one of the biggest things is I've actually worked across different banks out there, and I must say that Nedbank has really got this kind of, call it attitude out there to really embrace the fintechs and pretty much try and create opportunity for startups to actually make a success of themselves. I think one of our successful sort of things has been Intersect down here in Stellenbosch. Obviously Nedbank has invested in them, we've taken the solution to market, and also we've got them to be quite successful in terms of being a credible business out there. So I think today we just want to very much propose the ideas that have actually come up from our business units. So these things are kind of tangible stuff that we're looking for partners out there to deliver value to our customers. I think where we are, we're very cognizant of what is happening internationally as well as nationally from our local competitors, and I think our board is aware of this, and they've kind of mandated us to actually look at the space and see what value we can bring to the organization. So the first sort of idea that I'd like to kind of present is we're looking to actually improve client experience using Internet of Things. I guess the word Internet of Things has been the kind of buzzword, but it's not really the conceptual thing anymore, it's reality. I mean, more and more, as you see smartphones coming about, there's sensors, NFC devices, etc., that have been embedded, and it allows us to basically do things differently, collect data, manipulate the data, and provide more value to our customers. What we notice on sort of global trends is that, they project by 2020 that 34 million will be internet-connected devices, of which 24 billion will be Internet of Things devices. So the potential over here is quite huge. The kind of value that we're looking at being spent over the next 5 years is about $6 trillion US dollars. So it's quite a substantial amount of money that people are looking at spending Internet of Things. I think the big value that businesses are trying to derive out of here is from sort of lowering operating costs, increasing productivity, and I think more importantly is basically bringing value to customers out there. Obviously customers are the people that we service, and ultimately we need to deliver solutions to them that actually make their lives easier. I just kind of want to show a video that I've got together just to give you a conceptual idea as to how the whole sort of thing of Internet of Things is pretty much panning out.
The Internet of Things is changing our world. This vast, rapidly growing network of devices enables us to sense our world far beyond the walls of businesses. Interconnecting things, coming together at scale in real time, build a high-resolution awareness of what's happening all around us and alert us to what should be happening but isn't. Applying smart analytics to this flood of big data creates fresh insights that can enable new ways of working, sharing information, and interacting with the world. It can help businesses identify opportunities, proactively anticipate threats, and optimize how our world works. It's also extremely cool. Jane needs to take her client out to lunch. She forgot to make a reservation, and she uses her phone to check availability at her favorite restaurants. Her phone confirms availability in one of those restaurants. After selecting the table she wants to sit at, her phone immediately transfers her credit card information that's necessary to make the reservation. When the bill arrives, she scans the receipt to her phone and is given the option to pay with her credit card points, airline miles, or with her personal account, all in a safe transaction environment. Based on her wine selection located in the receipt, her personalized bank application sends an alert to the wine distributor notifying them of Jane's wine preference. Immediately after, the wine distributor sends Jane an alert notifying her of an online discount for that same wine. Banks are able to better understand customer needs and use that information to help them make secure transactions, improve overall customer experience, and provide real-time benefits, all while maintaining customer privacy. The day is almost over, and right before Jane is getting ready to drive home, she receives an alert that the water heater in her house is not heating properly. The heater sends a notification to notify a repair crew. With the update, she then decides to view the current status of all of her other household appliances. She sees her dishwasher was loaded this morning but was never turned on. Not a problem. Jane clicks a button on her phone to begin the wash cycle so the dishes will be ready when she arrives at home. Next, Jane takes a look at what food items are in the fridge. She uses an app to give her recipe suggestions for dinner based on what's still left. Lastly, she uses her phone to raise the temperature on the thermostat so that her house will be fully warmed by the time she gets home. Immediately after raising the temperature on the thermostat, she receives an alert notifying her of the increase to her electricity bill. She has the option of paying immediately using her banking app. Once she pays her bill, she gets an alert from the electricity company confirming her payment. By utility and communication providers using data analytics and information, they can provide customers with the benefits of monitoring, security, control, and energy efficiency. Jane arrives at home and is greeted by the repair crew, who assess the situation and can help her fix it. They leave, and before cooking her dinner, her wearable device notifies her that she hasn't gotten much exercise today. She tells her phone via voice recognition that she only would like to go for a 2-mile run, and she uses an app to map that run. When she steps out for her run, Jane syncs her wearable device with her shoes. The sensors in her shoes track her running style, while her wearable device is able to track her calories, peak heart rate, and time spent running. She arrives at home, and now she's hungry. She refers back to the recipes that her phone provided earlier. The recipe list indicates which available meals will best replenish the energy lost from her workout. After eating, she clicks a button on her phone that publishes her exercise information to her social networks. Immediately, an insurance brokerage company contacts her, notifying her she can qualify for a lower insurance rate. Wearable technology creates information and data that helps companies better understand consumers, allowing them to deliver personalized services and benefits. When we share insights from data flowing through the Internet of Things, we can transform how we live, work, and play. Let's make the Internet of Things work. Let's build a smarter planet.
Okay, thank you. The video is quite informative. I guess with the advent of digital, the traditional boundaries between financial services, call it the medical industry, that's all kind of blurred. I guess Internet of Things is one of the technologies that basically fosters as to how, we have the convergence of various sectors into one. So I think, this picture here was quite apt. You sit in your bathtub and pretty much you can literally control your life, from what has been done at work, etc. Just via the smartphone, it's a little computer that you have in your hands. So I think where we are in terms of the ask from a Nedbank perspective is, what does winning look to us like in the space here? And I think the big thing for us is really delivering value to our customers that's beyond banking. Obviously, banking is the pertinent aspect, is our core of business, but people don't actually wake up in the morning to bank. They want to do something, and the bank is merely the financial means or the sort of mechanism to actually deliver on your needs on a daily basis. And pretty much when you look at this this ecosystem that I've got up here, if you look over here, just to give you a bit of, obviously the bank acts as a facilitator, pretty much as a value aggregator, as an advice service provider. So this, by using the Internet of Things, one can actually encapsulate pretty much all of these kind of offerings into one. So really what we're looking from the audience today is to come up with innovative solutions to basically provide value to our customers beyond traditional banking, also referring to the extended banking. I think more importantly, from the Internet of Things, there's a lot of data that can be collected, and pretty much using this data and manipulating this data in this way that we better understand our customers and provide value to our customers. From an insurance management perspective, I guess we have a large insurance business as well. And pretty much by having all of these kind of sensors, etc., is pretty much having early warning systems, using big data, mostly rewarding our customers for basically good behavior. So those are kind of typical things we're looking at. And obviously, as I mentioned, with digital, everything is kind of blurred. Health, everything's being delivered via one sort of seamless platform. So obviously, if you look at sort of life insurance, for example, if we understand our customers' lifestyles a whole lot better, we can also reward them and incentivize them in the right sort of manner. Yeah, so that's the end of our first sort of challenge. The second one we're looking at is a kind of request out of our small business area. Pretty much this is looking at basically innovative ways sorry, apologies for that. Just to basically looking for new technologies to promote fundraising for small businesses. And this typically, as you guys have heard of concepts of crowdfunding and peer-to-peer lending. And in essence, this is obviously a threat to a bank itself, but obviously it exposes different opportunities to us as well. So traditionally, peer-to-peer lending is where you don't really need the bank and you can actually borrow money through an online platform to someone that you don't really know. And obviously there's risk associated with that. And that's primarily where banks come into account, is basically, through the elements of knowing your customer through FICA regulations and that, that's where we provide value to basically customers to ensure that we have a secure lending environment. With crowdfunding, it's also become very popular with small businesses, as well as projects looking to raise funding. So this gives you a bit of an overview as to what basically crowdfunding and peer-to-peer lending is. And I think what the trends are showing forward is that these things are here to stay. Obviously, there's a lot of risk associated with these type of platforms, and obviously the ones that basically have got innovative sort of risk mitigation sort of strategies built into technologies are the ones that will pretty much survive out in industry. So our real ask around here is pretty much building innovative funding platforms for small businesses to provide customers new ways to engage and to provide value to customers. We're also looking at using these platforms to basically access new markets, and obviously finding strategic channel partners out there. And I think this is where fintechs would kind of live in harmony with someone like Nedbank. And finally, the last sort of outtake for this year would be using digital currencies and social connected networks such as blockchain to facilitate fundraising. As many of you guys know, that blockchain is sort of on the rise in South Africa. There's lots happening amongst the banks. And pretty much this allows basically, to mitigate the aspects of trust. So there's a lot of, let's say, innovation happening in this space. So we're ultimately looking to the audience to actually come forward with sort of really innovative solutions to basically take us forward in the market. As you guys all aware, mobile technology has been around for some time, but it's really allowed us to get to basically the unbanked sort of people out there. So it has essentially allowed for basically financial inclusion in markets that we've never reached before. Obviously, if you look at Africa, this has been predominantly quite on the rise over the past years. Other things beyond it is that it's improved the lives of millions of people, where people really don't have to actually walk distances to transfer money. You pretty much can do this kind of over the air, from that perspective. And pretty much this is here to stay. So at Nedbank, we've got a solution called Send eMali. And this pretty much allows us to actually send money, from a peer-to-peer perspective, using your cell phone, also using our internet banking platform. And pretty much what we're looking from this perspective is basically to look at creative solutions out there to basically enhance our value proposition out there. Right now, it's just peer-to-peer. How can we do things differently without having a bank account, where people can actually use this platform pretty much to send money across borders through cross-border remittances. Adriano had mentioned that we do have presence to Africa, so we're strongly looking for solutions out there as to how can we sort of assist a lot of the kind of migrant sort of laborers in our country at the base of the pyramid to actually transfer money back to their families out into the African continents, into the African countries. What research has shown around here is that mobile technology has been very limited in basically leveraging of banking financial services, where it's only down to payments. What we're really looking at here is extending our sort of product offering through mobile offerings, for example, offering insurance products, microfinance, etc. via this platform. So one of our asks over here as well is pretty much to look at what other innovative banking products can we actually pull through this channel. Idea number 4 looks at FICA. As you guys all know, this is a painstaking process when you're going to banks. This is pretty much where you have to present your ID, proof of sort of residency, sort of last, your kind of employer, etc. in order to open up a bank account. And generally within banks, this process can be quite tedious where you go from one division to the other and you have to kind of refigure. So I think with the advent of technologies, the big thing is how do we actually use digital technologies to basically allow customers to remote figure. I'd just like to show you guys a video around here to give you a bit of an overview of a company based in the Cape. It's actually successfully used digital to basically enhance delivering fika to customers.
There's a new weapon in the fight against online identity hijacking, and we sent Seth to find out more about it.
Have you ever been online and found a picture of yourself on the profile of a completely different person? Okay, it's more a celebrity kind of problem, but don't kid yourself. It could happen to you. Internet scamsters fabricate online identities and entire social circles to trick people into emotional or romantic relationships. It's called catfishing, and it's more prevalent than you might imagine. Add to this the bleak statistics on South African internet fraud. This country is the second most targeted country when it comes to online fraud and phishing attacks. In 2012, South Africa experienced a rise in 39% with regards to online fraud, and this leaped to a staggering 54% in 2013, and an even larger leap to 62% in 2014. So against this slightly scary backdrop, This Is Me launches in South Africa. It's a personal online verification authority aimed at ensuring that your identity stays tied to you and only you.
In this day and age, we spend a lot of our time online, and we all have Facebook accounts and Twitter accounts. The biggest problem that we have is that we don't know who actually created those accounts in the first place. What This Is Me allows you to do is solve that problem by staking a claim to your actual identity, which is government issued. We link your government identity to your online profile, and we bridge the gap between the offline and the online identity. That allows you to prove exactly that you are exactly who you say you are online.
This Is Me gives you an authenticated and verified account that is entirely controlled by you. By signing up, you submit ID details and specific documents which the company then use to verify your details.
Well, once we've verified an individual, we then allow them to include their social media profiles, and by that I include Facebook, Twitter, Google+, LinkedIn accounts, and so on and so forth, along with all other identifiable information that you choose to include. You can add things like your passport, you can add your electricity meters if you'd like, and we're actually working on modules all the time to include different types of identification points. And those points could be anything that you can possibly think of, from your library card membership to your golf club membership, or anything else that can be used to identify you and build up a more comprehensive profile of who you are online.
You'll have the last say in any process that needs an identity approval, ensuring that all is in your control.
Well, This Is Me is naturally available as a fully fledged website at thisisme.com. But in addition to that, our site is completely responsive, which means that you can access it on any mobile device, tablet, iPhone, Android, no problem. We're also in the process of developing our application, which will allow people to actually authorize those transactions in real time rather than having to wait for a login on the website. That's going to make the process a lot faster, and that's coming in mid-March. This Is Me is a free service for all users because we firmly believe that users should be given the opportunity, free of charge, to take control of their identity online. The way we make our money is we work with merchants, and as and when they request this information and we're able to save them money in the process of getting that information, we make our money that way.
Okay, and we're done. Some people say if you're not online, you might as well not exist. But there are plenty of dangers out in the wilds of cyberspace. This Is Me makes big promises of safety and might just help you sleep a little easier at night.
Thank you. I think what this video tells us is that identity fraud is here to stay, and it's going to get even bigger as we go on. Obviously, from a banking perspective, you wouldn't want to bank with a bank where your money is not safe. And ultimately, this is the reason why the Financial Intelligence Crime Act came into place. It's pretty much to protect you as a consumer and obviously us as a bank in terms of protecting your money. So I guess with the advent of digital technologies, everyone is doing their banking online, etc. And it's really cumbersome to actually go into a branch, for example, and open an account. So in order to support, let's say, the sale of a project via a digital platform, it will be really ideal where you could really find an innovative way for example, as to how this company has demonstrated to basically pick a customer online. So I think the ask from here is really, how do we also use digital verification for FICA with removing the sort of complication out of compliance, right? I think there's a lot of documentation in the background. How do we use digital technologies? And also, there's a lot of social media platforms out there. How do we leverage things, really thinking out of the box to really verify the customer's identity? And obviously, by streamlining all of these the sort of collection of documents, it ultimately brings out the customer banking perspective and where we ultimately can lower banking fees and also make banking more sort of accessible to many people. ATMs are out there to stay. If you it's after hours, you're not actually going to a branch. What you notice these days is that ATMs offer a whole lot more sort of services where you can pretty much do a lot of self-service capabilities, look at your balances, statements, etc. And these days you can also pay bill payments, via an ATM. So obviously there's huge growth rates projected. If you look at the slide over here, kind of statistics quoted this year, there's ATM users who draw about $14.1 trillion in transactions a year. That equates to $450,000 every second. I mean, that's a huge amount of money, right? Currently there's about 3 million sort of ATMs out there. It's projected by 2020 that this will increase to 4.1 million. So clearly, despite even the digital internet coming into play, there's still the relevancy of the ATM channel. When you look at the banks, there's obviously the term that we use, kind of the bank of the future, which pretty much refers to how do we kind of digitize most of the transactions that happens over the counter when you have a chat to a teller. Mostly what I've just kind of alluded to is, they've been used more than for basically cash transactions to actually withdraw money, look at balances, etc. These days you kind of see banks out there internationally using them interactive sales sort of screens where you can really flip through the product brochures and really get a better understanding of stuff. In conjunction with that, ATMs are also starting to be used as sort of virtual teller machines where you can really chat to a warm body out there. As much as digital basically eases life, sometimes you really need to get down to having that human interaction where there's a bit of grayness and you really need to get some sort of clarity. So that's what's really happening out from that space there. I mean, what I've listed over here is pretty much, most of the banks have actually got cash and check deposits in place. But I think where we can really extend the ecosystem over here is taking it beyond banking. For example, if you could purchase your cinema ticket online, I guess today you can actually do that via a mobile phone. But this is just one of the examples where things are actually moving to. So I think going forward, what does winning in this space look like to us? I think ATMs obviously traditionally can be used to cut costs where you're taking transactions out of the branch. But really looking at innovative ways out there, really challenging the boundaries. What sort of fresh revenues can we really use ATMs for? I think that's what's one of our asks out here. Obviously, whenever you interact with an ATM, there's an opportunity to basically market to a customer. What are those kind of innovative things? You probably have seen things printed on your slip that comes out of the ATMs. But beyond that, what are those kind of creative things can we really do to kind of wow the customer? As I mentioned before, the migration of over-the-counter to teller transactions to ATM is definitely a must. Offering sales and self-service capabilities on ATMs for banking, insurance, and investment products and services. So traditionally banks, obviously, we have traditional banking products. But beyond that, how can we basically take insurance and saving products and basically use the ATM channel to pretty much sell and self-service customers? As I mentioned, using the ATM channel to basically offer a wide range of services beyond banking. So I think, the previous slide that I had on the Internet of Things, really looking at this kind of extended ecosystem and seeing what can we do with this ecosystem using our branch, so that our ATM channel to basically offer more value to customers. I guess the use of, everyone has got a mobile phone these days, but really using the mobile phone as an interactive device. How can we really kind of create that seamless kind of activity where you perhaps could log on from your phone and basically it issues a call it maybe a over-the-air sort of instruction to basically dispense cash. It's a bit, it kind of helps also to improve a bit of security around that, where you could use kind of finger recognition, for example. Using alternative forms, I guess, of identification, biometrics, to make use of an ATM as opposed to the digital PIN. So just to quote some examples, perhaps it's what looks different to us, but obviously different ideas are welcome around the space. I think the big one is about gamification. I think today we all play games. I guess Pokemon Go, it's real sort of significant effect recently. And I think what we've seen from the sectors such as airlines, telecommunication, education, they've successfully used gamification to basically engage with their customers. And such financial services have seen the value and started experimenting around this space here. I guess, quoted again in US dollars, playing games is mainstream behavior, and the gaming industry is about to win $60 billion US dollars per year. I mean, that's a huge amount of money. This is more than the movie industry. So gamification is something here really to make a difference to people's lives. The early adopters of gamification financial services are definitely positive results, increased online engagement. So basically taking people from your traditional over a face-to-face sort of servicing to basically doing things online. Banks have successfully overseas used this kind of mechanism of gamification to educate customers. There's also the incentives to tell them how to actually do a self-service transaction, for example. What we've also noticed is that gamification also helps from a social influence. Today social media is very relevant. If there's a certain thing, you probably hear it on social media before actually watching it on television. So obviously using the element of gamification and sort of integrating into the social media platforms is definitely a winner for us as to how we can actually win customers over. And I think the last point I'd like to make is that gamification is relatively inexpensive when you look at traditional ways of marketing. It's very costly to actually do above the line advertisements, etc. So our real ask over here, I might have repeated points, maybe repeating points, but is on our self-service channels, mobile, internet banking, or app banking. How can we sort of increase our behavior on there where customers actually use our app or internet banking to basically purchase products, self-service, so really use gamification to entice them to do it in that way. I think the big thing here is how do we use gamification as well to attract new banking clients? Is there a kind of challenge that we throw out there where people actually get really incentivized through the element of gamification to apply for Nedbank's product? Definitely gamification is definitely what we see can be used for ongoing customer engagement, retention, and stickiness. So our current customers, should they have issues, maybe the idea of a game that we can put out there to really understand what are the issues they're facing. And I think lastly, obviously, people have certain accounts, such as transactional accounts, but perhaps there's a particular need out of there from needing to apply for a loan or something. So maybe through an element of gamification, getting customers to play around with things where it helps them to answer questions where they really know how to basically ask for the right product from the bank. So I think for me the Pokemon Go effect, has basically reveled our space in the last few weeks. And I think using the element of basically, gamification this really gives us a really, sort of thing using augmented reality. Really kind of, in my opinion, at this stage, paves the way as to how games are really going to evolve. I mean, more and more we see people using augmented reality to basically do different interactions. One of the examples I see recently, it was two students, I think, out of one of the UK universities. They actually use augmented realities. For example, you just hold your phone up at a particular site, and it brings up, what this place used to look like in the past, and gives a whole history about a particular site. So I mean, it's quite applicable for tourists and quite, useful where you really want to find where your routes are, etc. So I think my ask really out here is, how do we step up the game from a gamification using the elements, for example, using the example of Pokemon Go in the banking space to really kind of wow customers from their kind of gaming experience. So yeah, I think that's the end of the presentation. I'd like to thank you guys. If you've got any questions, I think after Dennis has got a few things to say.